Thank you. We will start with the candidates for the first district, and we will have introductory remarks. You will have 2 minutes. We'll start with Gail Townsend. Gail?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm honored to be here. Gail Elizabeth Townsend is the incumbent commissioner in District 1 of the Unified Government. It has indeed been an honor and a privilege for me to serve these last 4 years and 6 months in that capacity. As a candidate for District 1 Commissioner in 2013, I made 2 promises, and that was to focus on the use of money and policy in an effort to promote the changing look and perception of District 1. To that end, in my first term, I have not missed a single Board of Commissioners meeting in the 4 years and 6 months to ensure that the interests of my constituents were heard and well represented. I initiated budget requests for money to enhance the level and detail of maintenance of Unified Government Park System, brought new curbs to and sidewalk renovations to the historic Parkwood neighborhood, directed funds toward the design and renovations of Garland Park, including walking trails, and bringing new and long-needed improvements to the ball field at Quindaro Park. I successfully fought to preserve funding in the Unified Government budgets for emergency home repairs, which assists qualified homeowners, fund repairs for roofs, furnaces, sewer issues. Most importantly, I am proud to say I was the key initiator behind the budget request to fund the first ever government-sponsored Northeast Master Plan, which received unanimous support from the Board of Commissioners and in process currently. I was also a vocal and visible advocate against crime, openly urging members of our community to come forward and identify wrongdoers following the senseless murders of several of our youngest residents in the northeast end of Wyandotte County. In seeking re-election, I want the opportunity to continue to serve my district constituents by seeing through the initiatives I've begun and develop new ones to the benefit of the District 1 and Wyandotte County in general. Thank you.
Okay. And now, Victor Harris, the challenger from the first district. Victor?
Thank you for allowing me to be here tonight. My name is Victor Harris. I'm a resident of Wyandotte County. I've started out probably about 90 years ago. But first, I'd like to say one thing. They said behind every successful man, there's a strong woman. My wife has been behind me, as well as my kids behind me, and everything we've done in Wyandotte County. We have provided various organizations. We developed the organization called the Juneteenth Parade and Celebration. I've been a leader where some of the kids in the city right now has grown up to be on the fire department, the police department. I'm also the president of OCP Neighborhood Association, where we have initiated some different elements in the area to bring attention to the unified government to clean up or assist us and help us here today that has not been done. So my reason for running was, well, as the president of OCP, if I can't get them to do it as president, feel like that my voice was that strong, then I'll make an attempt to run for commissioner and see if we can get that done. The first district, don't even want to waste my time to sit and tell you. You've seen the first district. You know what it looks like. The constituents in the first districts feel that they're not being respected, that there's no hope there, that the leadership that they thought they was going to have is not there. Decisions have been made at the government level, and as president, some of us are not even finding out about it. So decisions on things in the Northeast area has not been favored to us. As you know today, there was a news article about John Garland Park, a waste of $1 million on that park that most of the community didn't know about it. So those are the type of things, just one of the things in the Northeast area that need to be looked on. The constituents should have known and voted on things of that nature. As a representative, you are voted by the people and for the people. I'd like to be your commissioner. Thank you very much.
Now we'll move to the 8th district and the incumbent, Dr. Jane Winkler Philbrook.
Well, I am blessed to be here, and I want to thank you for being here to take time to invest in what you may consider a very good investment, because you always want to hear what we're up to, all right, and what we have to promise you. So thank you for making the time to be here. Some of the things that I've been active in and have done, accomplished with the help of the whole commission and everybody that works for the city. Some new curbs and sidewalks in areas, some park improvements. I've been working tirelessly with Workforce and the Homeless Coalition for Greater Kansas City. And along with that, supporting Kansas City, Kansas Community College and District 500 in the changes they've made to help with social mores and issues that we've had to deal with in the past. So children will be confident in themselves and see a future in Wyandotte County. Also dealing with Amazon as part of that, and that was a plus and minus, two-edged sword. But I would tell you that we now have an additional 3,000 jobs, people coming in and out, and around 1,000 of those came from Wyandotte County. That's hard to complain about. Also that we fought hard to get them from $12 an hour up to $13 an hour minimum. That was not an easy fight, and we're very happy about that. Also have been working with small businesses and has been very active in State Avenue corridor. I just want to say that this has been very interesting. I've learned more about my city, and I want to thank all of those that have been helping accomplish this work.
Now we'll call on Kenan McLean, who is the challenger from the 8th District. Kenan?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I thank you all for being here. I thank you all for sticking around and lending your time this evening. A few words I want to share with you, a quote actually, that says, "When change is desperately needed, it can happen. And it can happen when citizens are actively engaged with commitment and passion." Those were the words of former mayor, our first mayor, CEO, Carol Marinovich. I am one of those citizens that is actively engaged, has commitment, and has passion. That shows with our work with the I'm So Wyandotte campaign that averages about 2,000 people with a community picnic, all free. This year we brought that to a broader level in partnership here with Kansas City, Kansas Community College. Our other work includes giving out backpacks to kids through back to school programs, helping people with job coaching, job training, feeding the Central Park towers when their air units were out, when their heating units were out. I'm not here to ask for a pat on the back for the things that I should do. That's not what I'm here for at all. I'm not here just to be another elected official just to rattle off things. I'm here to work hand in hand, elbow to elbow. Like Commissioner Townsend said earlier, she was actively involved in encouraging people to come forward about crime and about tips for the Northeast neighborhood last summer. I was there for that press conference with Gail Townsend because I was working right along in those neighborhoods, not from City Hall. Even this year in District 8, when we lost 4 people in the matter of 5 weeks, we've been in touch with those families, hand in hand, arm in arm, trying to do better, trying to figure out what do we need to do. Those aren't policy issues, those are people issues, and I'm here invested in the people. I'm here to work with the policies to make them work for the people. So on November 7th, even as early as October 28th, I'm asking for your support and I'm asking for your vote, not as a politician, but as your neighbor and a person. Thank you.
Now we'll move to the questions, and we'll start with Elnora Jefferson from the Historic Midtown Association. Elnora?
Okay, thank you. Good evening. This is a question for the UG Commissioners for District 1. As, how have you utilized, I say solicited and or utilized, or how will you solicit or utilize the on-the-ground citizen resource in your decision-making policies?
One of the things that took place in 2014 was the increase of openness through the use of all of our meetings being televised. That's one thing. People are free to come, and I encourage them to come and be informed on site. You can also live stream or sit in the comfort of your home and see. In the last several years as commissioner, I've sponsored for-year information sessions to get good and accurate information out, not misinformation out. I would continue to do that. I believe that 4 years initially was a very long time. That was in the negative column, but you need that time, and I think I've used it well to learn the business of being a commissioner. And from there on to focus on things such as youth development and economic development, and just trying to see where I can help people behind the scenes. A lot of the assistance I've been to people have been one-on-one. But to the answer of your question, I think as a second-term commissioner, there would be even more outreach to the neighborhood groups. It takes time to learn that job. I think I've done that. And part of that second term would be becoming more engaged. But I do not believe that any commissioner is a babysitter. So it's a mutual thing. If people seek help, I'm willing to give it. There's some I don't hear from at all. So it's an open televised thing. I think they're doing all right. But I am here to help and want to work with the neighborhood groups and any who want to work with me.
Okay. Victor Harris?
Thank you, Ms. Jefferson. As commissioner, what I feel to do is, my example is, do as I do, not as I say. And what I mean by First District needs to be informed on whatever policy is going on. It means possibly putting your boots on the ground, going door to door, which in that category is not a problem for me because most of the people in that district already know who I am anyway. So to come out and inform them. What my method is to make sure that we have the right information coming out to them, is as commissioner, once I come out, my plan is once I become commissioner, that's in 60 days after I become commissioner, I want to have a meeting with any and everybody who want to come to First District. Once they come into the meeting, I want to get a phone number or contact person for them and set up a system called a robocall. So whatever's going on, instead of me wasting time to pass out literatures, put the things in a call paper, I can pick up that phone and contact as many of the constituents at that time to say, this is happening, we need to react. So therefore, it gives them a chance of understanding and a chance of knowing that I'm gonna do whatever I possibly can to get it out to them. Then once we get that going, then that's when they've got to be responsible to start attending the meetings. We have a meeting once a month. We'll have a representative in each area of the city that will meet with me every other month. And that person will be the lead person to come and tell me what their constituents are talking about. We will sit down and come up with a good game plan, and then in return, they can go back to their constituents and let them know what we're going to do. But the communication is something, it's got to start. It's right now we're starting. I don't feel like we're that low at the bottom, but we need to get this started going. It's not going to happen overnight, but we are going to break the ground to where the people in First District will know what's going on. There's no more blindsiding them anymore under me as commissioner. Thank you.
Okay. Now we'll move to Mary Rupert with the Wyandotte Daily Online and her questions.
Thank you. I'm interested in your thoughts on the SOAR program. What direction do you think it should take in the future?
We'll start with Jane Philbrook.
Well, the SOAR program is something that we've been needing for a long time. And it's one of the first programs that actually are pulling together a lot of different departments that really have not been in communication previously. Is it perfect? Heck no, but it is the beginning of an effort to get conversation between our different departments, so we are working to improve the neighborhoods. And one of the first activities is in Midtown in Commissioner McKiernan's area, where the police and codes and several other of the groups are working to decrease crime and get things moving in the direction they need to go in. And that is a beginning. That is just a beginning. We've gotten more tax money in. We've started working on getting rid of more of some of the houses that need to be torn down, but moving ahead, even being able to work on process where we can get these houses sooner that have been ignored and sell them before they need to be torn down. So do I think the SOAR initiative is good? Yes, I do. I think it's an excellent idea, and I just want to watch it and make sure it keeps moving in the right direction. Thank you.
Ken McLean?
Thank you. The SOAR program, it's something that is greatly needed, but how do we know if it's working or not if we don't know what the measurables are, if we don't know what the goals are? And I hear so many questions about it because we've been given very few answers as far as how is it actually supposed to work. What is the end goal? Where are we trying to reach to? Sure, we want to improve Blight. Sure, we want to have revitalization and things of that nature. But how are we getting there? How are we moving past conversations? Because if it weren't for conversations, then the SOAR program would have never started. So, are we looking at comprehensive neighborhood revitalization? Are we looking at homeowner programs in order to have fair market housing versus more low-income housing? Are we looking at cultural changes to see what are the factors and how are these houses falling into blight? Is it because someone's elderly parent moved into a nursing home? Did it fall into the wrong hands? Or are we looking at absentee landlords? Are we giving incentives to our local home buyers, our local flippers, if you will, to invest in properties? Have we brought them to the table? They need to be part of the conversation now, not later, to say, hey, you guys know the market. Let's talk about this. How can we work hand in hand? How can we make this a full circle, or a full triangle, if you will, if we look at recycling, because that's what we're looking at. We're trying to recycle these things back into profitable, proud homes that people can own and be good for each neighborhood.
Victor Harris?
As president of OCP, again, we were asking questions about the SOAR program. And the understanding we had about the SOAR program was totally different from what we were thinking is going to happen. And when mentioned about the SOAR, that I know how the constituents feel. I know exactly how they feel because I've got a house right next door to me where the individual took shingles off 2 years ago and they still are on the ground. So I know exactly when the constituents telling me that these things are happening and where is the SOAR program supposed to help them at. I've asked questions about the SOAR program, but we still have not a complete outline or it's been explained what the SOAR program is supposed to be done. If it's going to work, I need for it to know if it means we need to find out with the other commissioners, or we need to find out what it takes manpower to get this SOAR program going, but for someone to explain to the constituents what it's all about so we can start doing our part as what the SOAR program is supposed to be. But the biggest thing is finding out in detail exactly what the SOAR program is supposed to do. It sounds good, but we're ready to find out what we need to do to make this thing happen, especially in the Northeast area, because we have a lot of areas of houses, land, people living in it, property, grass that's overgrown, that if this is what the SOAR program is supposed to do, help us to let us know what it is so we can get started on it. Thank you.
Mr. Townsend?
Thank you. I believe it was in February this year because I was coming out of a hospital with an injury. I actually attended a meeting at the OCP group and talked about not only what was happening at John Garland Park, the other parks with the CNIP money. We also talked about SOAR and identified it as the UG's plan to improve stabilization, occupation, and revitalization. The key goal is to reduce blight, plain and simple. The difference to the plan is that there is a plan to use all of the resources of the different organizations within the UG that had not been talking. To that end, the budget was increased. I can't recall the amount, but it was increased so that we will have more mowing, more code enforcement that does not relieve any UG resident of doing what he or she needs to do to take care of their own property. But that is the SOAR initiative, and like anything else, it is in its fledgling months. It needs time to work through the process, but that's what it's about. And anyone who doesn't know about it has not been watching what's been going on at the UG. We are open and transparent about it. Maybe, as with me, I need to hear some things more than one time. But that is what the SOAR initiative is about. I've taken it to neighborhood groups. I talked about it at my for-your information meetings. Thank you.
Now we'll move to Valerie Mussett for her questions.
Thank you. I'm going to switch gears a little bit, and since I'm representing business here today, I'm going to talk about the business in your districts. How important do you feel the businesses are in your districts, even though they do not vote for you? And how do you think we can immerse them within the local community and improve it that way?
Let's start with Commissioner Townsend.
Thank you. I'm proud to represent District 1, and within District 1, you have the Fairfax Industrial District, which is the second highest entity in terms of tax that's brought to the government, second only to the Legends. I'm proud to say I've had a good relationship with Fairfax, and if I don't get one vote, if there's nobody there who may be a resident within District 1, they are still critically important to me as a major cog of what happens in the Northeast End. So I see them as a constituent group that I am here and have supported whatever their needs are. One of their biggest needs or challenges within the last couple of months was a planning and zoning issue whereby an out-of-state company wanted to come in with a halfway house. That's just one example of how I've worked with them. Some of the things are more behind the scene, but I believe not only a Fairfax district, but any of the businesses in my district are valuable constituents if I don't get one vote from them.
Victor Harris.
The Fairfax area is very important to Wyandotte County. The reason being, we have so many jobs down there that's important to the people and the constituents, not only just in First District, but the entire Wyandotte County. And there was an issue, it came up about a halfway, a re-entry program. And I came in and I was asked by some of the residents what was my opinion about it, and I spoke and gave them my opinion. Hopefully it helped sway the votes of the commissioners to say the re-entry program was not coming in the First District. I feel proud about it. I will still stand by it. The reason behind it, because within First District, there are already 4 re-entry programs in there. And my issue was to the commissioners was to relocate it in a different location. Why does it have to come strictly in the First District? Again, to the Fairfax employment, I just felt that as commissioner or as a resident, we could not take that chance and upsetting any of those businesses in Fairfax that was against the reentry program to come in. Just could not take that chance, and I was against it, and I will be against it today also. We can take that reentry program and place it into another location, but I just felt like Fairfax was not the area. Fairfax is very important to us. Those jobs and anybody that we have have business there need to stay. We need to find also ways of continue working with them and supporting them so they will stay. So by working bipartisan with the other commissioners, we will find means to keep Fairfax there and work with them as much as we possibly can. Thank you.
Kenny McLean.
Part of the reason why I love where we live at is because of our small businesses. We have between Leavenworth Road, Parallel State, 78th Street, 47th Street, 38th Street, we have great pockets of local owners, local neighbors that are investing in our city. I like it because I get to know those people and they get to know me. So some of them where our kids are in the same school together. Some people, I may go and buy a meal from them at 6 o'clock, but I end up running to them at Price Chopper at 8 o'clock at night. It's, you know, and then when we go to these local shops, we see some of our same neighbors, and it goes back and forth. So we don't have to go out to the legends a lot of times to get the things that we need for our homes. We can have a great quality meal at the Mason Jar with CJ and the folks, or we can go to Leland and Charles over at Fourth Down Grill, you know, or I can go to Dollar General. I can go a little bit of everywhere to get what I need right in my area. But also where we need to go one step further is that we ask people to invest their money, sometimes their life savings, but we don't give them a lot of help and education. They want to own a business, but some people don't know how to run a business. So with the team that I've worked with, the people that I've worked with over the years, we can educate them with business basics for entrepreneurs, how to market, how to utilize social media. 4 years ago, in these forums, the big thing was people leveraging Google, all that good stuff. Now Google is seemingly an afterthought. So where's Google for those businesses now? We should be there for those businesses, showing them how to market, how to get good flyers, how to use SEO targeting, all that good stuff. But those aren't the things that you learn when you grow up. Those are the things that we should be working with them as a city, as we're asking them to stay and invest in our communities.
Dr. Philbrook?
Well, thank you. That helped me out a lot. I appreciate everything you said on that, and I would have to agree with you 100%. I also know that we've always had a problem with help at City Hall and at our different locations for small business. And I have to say, as a small business person, I get pretty exasperated too. Sometimes there's things you want to do and you feel like you're chasing your tail. What we need in Kansas City, Kansas, is some type of a program that actually walks small business through what they have to do to be able to be in business in Wyandotte County. We don't have that yet. It can be done. I know Salina has an efficient setup, but it's not going to be easy because we're going to have to reorganize people to make this work. And it's going to cost money. Let's just say it. It's going to cost us more money, and the commissioners have to decide how much money and where we're going to get it from to pay for it. And as far as Google, I'm extremely disappointed in that group. Then when they came in, they promised the world, and they did not give business any Google. I know I sit right next to a location where I could run my own line right out of their little location and have Google, you know, but they did not bring business into it. So they're on my list of not happy. I would tell you that the other thing that the District 8 has coming for it, beyond Amazon, which is really the kicker, is Turner Diagonal is gonna just bloom and blossom, which is gonna give us great opportunity to get a lot more small businesses in, up and down State Avenue and all those other areas, and to help Muncie area really clean up their act.
Now we'll move to Edgar Galicius from the Central Avenue Betterment Association and his question.
Thank you. As we understand the challenging situation of our residents in general or community, but also the nature of the different groups that involve our community, please tell me, what are the needs of the Latino residents in your district, and how are you prepared to solve those needs?
Start with Commissioner Townsend.
Muchas gracias, señor. Yo quiero una comisionada para todas las personas en Distrito 1. So it starts out with trying to communicate with my neighbors. Thank heaven for the apps that will let me speak in Spanish and translate to English and back forth. So it's just trying to be a good neighbor. And when I send out announcements, I try to make sure they're bilingual. One of the things that I've realized that they're changing demographics not only for the Latinos, African cultures, Nepalese cultures, and I think one of the things that's important is that we have, I don't know where it would come through, probably through the neighborhood center, a cultural liaison to bridge that gap for a lot of the different diverse groups that we have coming into not only District 1, but all of the unified government districts. A lot of things that to frustrated neighbors are code violations. I think we have to have someone to bridge that gap initially to say, welcome, you are here in our community, we're happy to have you, but here's how we do things, here's how things need to be done. So it's not just the Hispanic community we're trying to bridge, but all the other different and diverse communities that have come into the unified government.
Victor Harris.
For the Latino family, I have a gentleman that's right across the street from me, and he's been working with me for his trying to incorporate Latinos to attend the OCP meetings, which I'm the president of OCP Neighborhood Association. So his name is Pablo. He's really been helping me out to reach out to the community. There's another one around the corner. Every third Saturday of the month, I'm coordinating a mobile harvester unit where we feed the residents healthy food. It brings out about 18, 19 pallets of food, and we're feeding them. The Latinos have started coming in. There was a young lady around the corner from me. I asked her, help me to reach out to the Latino community. So we're kind of slowly working to where now the population of Latinos are coming, and they understand that I am willing to work with them. They've even also agreed for me putting my signs in their yards. And I have not actually went up and met him, but the word is going around that he's willing to work with us. One of the issues that the gentleman across the street is saying is that some of the things in the laws and stuff they don't understand. So that when they want to come in, they want to develop houses and fix up houses, but they keep constantly getting in trouble with codes and so forth. So if anything I could do to help him and help the Latino community to get aware of what the codes are. So that's something that we're in process of doing. It's a slow progress, but if you've seen where we started out back in July to where we are now, we are making progress with the Latino community. Thank you.
Kenton McLean.
Thank you, Mr. Galicia. First, I don't like to say the Latinos or the this or the that. It makes it seem like we're alienated. We all live on the same streets, we shop in the same areas, pay the same taxes. So my neighborhood is our neighborhood, their neighborhood is my neighborhood. We're all on the same streets together. I like to meet people where they're at. So to do that, you have to make yourself vulnerable to what they're willing to share with you. You have to earn people's trust, be it the Latino community, be it the Hmong community, Eastern European. You have to open yourself up to say, hey, what's working for you guys? What issues are you having? And you have to be willing to accept whatever it is they bring to you, whatever it is you have to be willing to accept all that they have, all their frustrations, their angst, everything. And then once you listen to that, then you have to say, okay, here's what we can do. Here's how we can work together. Because I have 2 ears, 1 mouth. I should obviously be listening more than I'm talking. I can't tell you how to be a Hispanic gentleman no more than you can tell me how to be an African American male. So when I need to understand your plight, your struggles, your progresses, your culture, I need to be sitting down, listening to you, learning from you on how to make your plight, your work better for all of us.
Dr. Philbrook.
Well, I agree with him again. I don't really like to do separation. I like to do inclusion conversations. First, though, I do want to say that I'm very proud of our Latino population, because if it weren't for the great influx of Latino population, there wouldn't be as much of Kansas City, Kansas right now. I'm just gonna put it right out there. And so I'm so happy that they have chose Kansas City, Kansas to come to and build, okay? Now, as far as that goes, I think that all of us have a lot of growing to do as far as being acceptable and accepting to other cultures. Because really, as he said, we don't understand other cultures as well as we understand our own. But I think being open and wanting to understand and to work with and make yourself vulnerable is exactly what we have to do to work together as a community. So wouldn't you like to run for a different district and maybe we could work together? Sorry. But anyway, I have spent a lot of time working with different parts of the community, and I have deep respect for all of those communities. I've had interactions with quite a few Hmong folks who are very quiet they're not demanding, at all. And I would like to be able to help them, get better jobs and so on, be a voice for them. And so we're working on that, okay? I love our community, and I want everybody to have the opportunity to be an important part in that.
Okay, we will now move to Dave Reno with Downtown Shareholders. Your question, Dave.
Thank you. If I went door to door in your district, what would your residents tell me is the single most important issue facing your community? And what's your plan to address that issue within the next 6 months?
Okay, we'll start with Dr. Philbrook.
Man, I would have to have a, well, it's always taxes. I mean, there's no question. Our property taxes is always first and foremost in everybody's mind. The problem is that now that we're getting into a better housing situation, our houses are their property values are starting to increase, okay? So that's a double-edged sword. As our property values increase, then taxes go up. And I don't know how we would be able to decrease that overall value because we don't have control. Who has control is the state on how we evaluate. So we have to go by the state. And the only way we can decrease is by our mill levies. In Kansas City, Kansas, the mill levies are varied. You have each school district has a different mill levy, and you have the mill levies from the library and a couple of others. So we're only 49%, the city is. City county's only 49% of it. So we have to ask those others maybe to help decrease, bring their mill levies down. They haven't gone up recently except Piper since I was elected. But other than that, I would say that's what we would have to work with, because we want our properties to be worth more, because people want to sell them. But when we sell them at 20% above what the value have been in the past, then that raises our rates all over the place. So we need more houses, and we're working on trying to get in some 42 housing, which means 42 housing is a combination of housing, regular rate and decreased rate.
Kendra McLean.
Talking to some of my neighbors, since I am a neighbor of my own community, our biggest issues are transparency and communication. So we'd like to know, why are our property taxes so high? Yes, our commission meetings are on UGTV, they're on YouTube, but why can't they be broadcast on social media? If I get an email for every single other thing, why can't I get an email to let me know that these things are out there? Why can't I get an email to let me know that, hey, this is what we're doing with your tax dollars? Why aren't we as a city meeting our people where they're at to give them the information that they desperately need? It's easy to sit up on high and say, hey, this is what we're doing, you guys need to be more involved. But how can they be more involved if they don't know how to get involved? City Hall is a big building. They don't know where to go to find the information, to find the answers. A lot of people don't even know that there's an actual knowledge bank at City Hall where they can find a lot of these answers. Or our small business owners don't know how to walk through the map of City Hall to open that business. There's no A to Z. I've heard of so many small business owners that get bumped around from one place to the next because City Hall isn't talking. If we're involving a program like SOAR, having these conversations, it's easy to say we're getting the conversation started. Why haven't they already started? Everybody's in the same building. If you guys aren't communicating to each other on 7th Street, then how can we expect you to give us straight answers, to communicate straightly with us in our neighborhoods, in our cities? So transparency, communication, that's what I bring to the table. That's what I advocate for.
Victor Harris.
Of course, like everyone says, taxes. But the constituents in my area that I talk to a lot, and I've been to Parkwood Colonies meetings, we're hearing about taxes, curves. Well, let me back that up. Taxes and grocery store. That is one of the biggest things in the Northeast area that the people felt like that is the biggest joke, that is the biggest put on, because they keep getting the runaround about this grocery store. But we can take and we can spend money for everything else, but not a grocery store. The curves, sidewalks, it looks great to have that handicap accessible, but soon you get off the handicap accessible, you can't even find the sidewalk. Some of the streets in that area have not been paved, and I've been there 50 years and have never been paved. Other issues they complain about is when they say, well, what about getting our sidewalks fixed in front of our house? Well, it's a policy where it's 50-50. You usually pay 50 and you reach in your pocket and pay the other 50. Well, doesn't my tax pay that 50 UG? Well, we can't get a solid answer why this policy is set up. The Northeast area, and they want businesses to come inside there. But because of the area looks the way it does, we can't really host anybody to come in and do business when the area looks the way it looks. So we have to be, as if I become commissioner and you vote me, is be what we call a little bit self-sufficient and start doing things on our own. I've already asked 3 young ladies and sent them on my own and out of my pocket to go and learn how to write grants. We're gonna reach out and come out of this box. I'm not gonna be in that box as a commissioner. I'm coming out of that box and find other methods, other ways of trying to bring things to the Northeast area. Work with the existing programs that's there and talk to them and find out what we can do and stop sitting around waiting for somebody to give us something. Thank you very much.
Commissioner Townsend.
Thank you. I believe that you would hear the single most complaint or concern would be related to economic development. I'll take this opportunity to say, and I'm not saying anything out of school at this point, that in the last 4 years, the commission has been close to having 2 development deals with 2 different entities for a grocery store. And both times, the persons we were dealing with were brought by another entity. So the deals collapsed and you have to start over. If I'm returned to office, it would be my goal to bring in new players to the table from out of this area. Grocery stores, as any other business, are businesses. They provide a service we all need, food, but they're no different than any other business. They want to see a profit margin, and maybe we just need new blood and new players, people to come from other large urban metropolitan areas from out of town who've dealt with issues much broader and bigger than in UG District 1. So that would be what I would do to actively engage that. With regard to sidewalks and the way District 1 looks, look at it 4 years and 6 months ago and go to Parkwood and see if change didn't come. And more will continue to come if I'm returned to commission position in District 1. Thank you.
Now we'll move to closing remarks. You will have 1 minute. And we'll start with Dr. Philbrook.
Well, thank you again for this opportunity to share with you, and I would ask you, everyone that is here and people that listen in the future, to please feel free to contact me. If you have an issue, you need to contact me. I'm more than happy to follow through and see what I can do to help you. But I will remind you, I am only one person and I can't change things by myself, but I can surely get you answers. I also want to say, please put me back in for a second term. I feel like I've only gotten started and things are happening so wonderfully and fast in Wyandotte County. I want to continue on with some of the projects that I have helped work on for you, and especially for workforce and homeless, and with the businesses. Thank you.
Ken McLean.
Thank you all again for your questions. Thank you that are here and those that are watching for your time this evening. I appreciate the opportunity. I'm honored by the privilege that it is to run and try to improve the representation of our district. Like I've said before, I have a track record of being able to work with people, being able to work with different organizations. I like to be on the ground. I like to be elbow to elbow. I like to listen. I like to learn. I like to be able to bring things to the forefront that maybe we aren't doing. I'm not a person that likes to be told no. I would prefer that you tell me what all we can't do in this box, and that way we can open up the whole world around it. In this season, it is easy to agree on things. It's easy to say things in election season, but the real proof comes in the voting record. Thank you.
Victor Harris.
I'd like to thank each and everyone for staying as late as you have to listen to what, as candidates, we've been saying. Most of all, I'd like to thank my wife for been putting up with me, and for some of you who knows what it's like to be very cranky and evil, and my wife puts up with a lot. Thank you, wife. I love you. But what I would like to say is, before I close, is that, when I go in, number one, I need to listen to the other commissioners who are there. Work on a bipartisan line and work with them. Don't go in beating on the table thinking I know it all. Work with those commissioners up there and come with a good idea, a good cause of what we're doing. Because number one, I've got to remember, I am there for the people. I'm not there for Victor Harris. I'm there for the people. And I will stay on that point and do whatever it takes to get things done in the 1st District and make some changes. Thank you.
Commissioner Townsend.
Thank you to all of you tonight who have participated by being here and listening. Thank you to the collective of the individuals and groups who have sponsored this forum tonight. In seeking re-election as a commissioner for District 1, I want to continue serving my district constituency by seeing through the initiatives I've begun and develop new ones. I have proven that I could work positively with the administration and my fellow commissioners so that the improvements that I've already discussed were brought about, and leave the door open for even greater things to come in the next year. I have said what I was going to do as a candidate, and I have done those things. I ask for your vote, District 1 constituents. Thank you.
Let's give the candidates a hand.